Welcome back to SoulShift, where we explore what it means to evolve, body, mind, and spirit, especially in midlife. And whether you're here every week or you're just joining us for the first time, we're so glad you're here with us today. Each episode, we invite you into conversations that blend grounded science, emotional honesty, and soulful insight. And our goal is to remind each of you that every shift, no matter how small, is a doorway back to yourself. Today's conversation is especially close to our hearts. We're diving into midlife vitality, burnout and recovery, and the quiet power of choosing yourself. I'm joined today by my dear friend and co-host, Mindy Gorman-Plutzer. Hi, Mindy.
Hi, Allie. I am so looking forward to this conversation. It is such an important topic, one I see come up with clients all the time. And as our audience knows, it's the topic that is the inspiration behind my soul-driven purpose. So I can't wait to dive in.
Yay! Our guest today is Claudine Francois. She's a board-certified functional medicine and holistic health practitioner. She's the author and the creator of the Midlife Body Code Method. Claudine is a former CFO turned root cause detective, and she helps driven women over 40 uncover the hidden causes of exhaustion, brain fog, hormonal shifts, stubborn weight, and her new book, Your Midlife Body Code, empowers women to decode their symptoms, realign with their bodies, and reclaim their lasting energy, clarity, and confidence in midlife and beyond.
Welcome to SoulShift, a sacred space where modern science, ancient wisdom, and real life come together in perfect harmony.
Each week, we explore the gentle art of transformation. SoulShift holds space for your beautiful, messy, perfectly imperfect human experience.
Meaningful change doesn't have to break you open. It can unfold softly, like morning light.
Together, we'll uncover tools that honor your truth, share conversations that touch your soul, and celebrate the exquisite complexity of what it means to be human.
Your presence here is a gift. Let's shift with grace,
with love,
together.
Claudine, we are so happy to have you here. Welcome to SoulShift.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Claudine, your story is so very compelling. You were once a high-level CFO, as Allie just mentioned, and now you're helping women heal their bodies and their beliefs. And that's quite a shift. What inspired you to write your Midlife Body Code and devote your work to this space?
Well, you're right. I did spend 20 plus years in corporate America, killing myself for, the corporate gods that be. And that's how I started my health journey, was my body started breaking down with all the chronic stress and all the things that go with being in corporate America. And when I started working in functional health, I started seeing that a lot of women were experiencing the same challenges that I had been experiencing, that their stress response was essentially hijacking their bodies. They were having hormonal issues, they were having gut issues, they were having brain fog, challenges even with their irritability and mood swings that were affecting their relationships. And when I started working with clients, I realized that I needed to put down the things I was telling them into kind of a manual, right? So that not only could my clients see like the progression of where we were going, but people who maybe couldn't work with me could also have that information to understand what is going on with your body. Because especially in midlife, we start to see all these changes, and oftentimes we feel like our body is working against us, like it's betraying us. And I wanted to give women the key, a code, if you will, to decode what's going on in their bodies so they can understand your body's not working against you. It is trying to work for you. And this is what it's trying to tell you.
Yeah, so instead of looking at the body as a source of betrayal, it's not the battlefield. It's really how we can plant our flag to win the war.
Exactly, yeah. Because the body, the only way it has to communicating with us is to give us these symptoms, these red flag notices. And so until you know what those red flags mean, most of us just go around going, why is this happening? Rather than what can I do about it? Because I know what it means.
Claudine, I love that you say it's communicating. That's so true, right? It's not that our bodies are broken. They're just communicating, especially in midlife. We have a lot going on and there's a lot to communicate to us, right? And so I'm wondering, how do you begin to decode these symptoms? And how do we as women in midlife begin to say, like, what are these symptoms actually telling me?
Well, in the book, I have a lot of bonus documents that I give along with it. And one of them is actually a symptom decoder guide. And so it says, you're having X symptom. What system is this actually potentially pointing to? And then what can you do about it? So yeah, every knock on the door that our body is giving us, it is a clue. And our job is to take these clues and come up with a holistic look at what the body is trying to tell us that we can then change what we are giving the body, right? Because it needs support. We can change our support to match what the body needs. And then we can feel better and stop having all these symptoms that, there are the obvious ones that people think of, like, oh, I'm having hot flashes, or sometimes mood swings, or night sweats. But then people don't think about, oh, I have the brain fog is related to midlife, or my frozen shoulder is related to midlife, or, the fact that I have high cholesterol or ADHD now that I've just gotten diagnosed with ADHD. How are all these things related to midlife? I feel like there are a litany of symptoms that women may have. And when they go to the doctor, they just get sent to all these different specialists rather than someone looking at the whole picture and saying, this is part of a whole, and there's something you can do about it, rather than just taking a pill for this, a pill for that, a pill for that,
Yeah, what you're giving is really very crucial tool to be able to decipher what is crucial information. Because what I see all too often is that women are overriding and suppressing those signals, right? Not recognizing that the symptoms are truly messengers that need to be addressed, right? And they suppress and ignore and deny, override until they're at full-blown burnout. So let's go there, right? Why is burnout so rampant in midlife? And what do you see women getting wrong about how to fix it?
Well, burnout happens more often in midlife because as our estrogen lowers, estrogen and progesterone are in tandem to buffer cortisol, right? So estrogen buffers the cortisol, progesterone's our calming hormone. And as they reduce in midlife, we basically don't have that additional capacity that we used to have. So it's kind of like, I can't deal with you anymore. I'm not dealing with your nonsense. Like, I've had it up to here. And that's why it seems like the thermometer is a little bit hotter, right? Because we don't have the same bandwidth for it. But there is a way to support that. And when you talk about burnout, so many of us are conditioned to do all the things for all the people, all the time, for our entire lives. And most of our lives, our body has been able to compensate for us. But when we get to midlife, our body's at the point where it's like, girl, you got to figure this out on your own. Like, you have got to learn to take care of yourself because I cannot compensate for you anymore. I do not have the capacity. So all of these things come together. And we as women, we have to learn how to support ourselves, because if we don't, then we get down into this downward spiral of burnout because our nervous system is overwhelmed. Our body is trying to do a ton of things all at the same time, and it just can't handle it anymore. And that's when we tend to either explode or just end up like a puddle on the floor because we can't deal with anything anymore.
I love the way you frame this. I love that you're sort of framing it as like, my biology needs restoration, right? Like, I need to take care of myself. I've hit midlife, and now it's time to restore what I've got going on. And I know that myself and so many of our listeners have been doing exactly what you said, living in that place of like, I first need to take care of somebody else, my children, my family, my parents, and somebody else, and then I'll take care of myself. And I think in midlife, we finally our bodies finally give us enough signaling. It's time. It's time for you to take care of yourself. So I love the way that you're framing this. And I know I've heard you talk about the first step is safety in the body. And I'm going to ask the practical question. How do we find safety in our body, and what does that really look like?
I tend to call that nervous system regulation, right? It could be de-stressing. It would be like the term we may have used 10 years ago, but essentially a lot of women, their systems are on high alert all the time. So if you think of like a hamster in a wheel and it's constantly going and constantly going, for many of us, we have been in high gear for 20 years, right? We've been so busy building careers and building families and doing all the things and being told just keep doing more and ignore what your body's telling you. I used to do that. I used to ignore all the things my body was telling me. We've been in the spiral of constant doing rather than, I know that people say you want to be, not do, but our nervous system stays in this high alert space. And if you think about it, the old saying about, if you're in a stress response, you're running away from the tiger. If your body's always thinking about running away from the tiger, it's not going to be doing all the normal everyday functions to keep your body going. If you're in high alert, your body's like, we got to support all of your energy to run away from the tiger. There's no digestion happening. There's no hormone making happening. There's no metabolism, like forget your thyroid. There's no conversion going on in the liver. Like everything just kind of stops, right? If you're still eating, if you're still trying to do things and your body's in the state of heightened alert, then all of those systems start to break down because they can't function. They have the off signal from your nervous system, but you're still going. So they're trying to do this workaround, and it makes it very challenging for your body to handle normal operating procedures. So that's when you start to have breakdown and you start to notice all these symptoms because your body's like, I can't, guys, cannot. Give me a break. Give me something to work with here, people.
I know that's something I certainly am talking to my clients about all the time. If we're constantly running from the tiger, the body is trying to get us away from the tiger, and then it's going to do what it needs to do. But if we never stop running from the tiger, it never gets a chance to do stuff like digestion and make hormones and many of the other things you mentioned. And you have an amazing framework that you've outlined in your book, and I know you use in your practice too, the Decode, Realign, Reclaim. And I'd love for you to talk into that and let us know, how can we begin to decode it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I created the Decode, Realign, Reclaim framework to basically explain path that I'm taking clients down as we go through this experience of trying to work with our bodies, trying to restore normal function, right? Because often what's happening when they've come to me is that the normal function is not happening. And that's why they're starting to notice all these problems. But decoding means that we're identifying the real stressors, right? So I'm using the word stressors. It could be mental, emotional stress, but it could also be mineral imbalances, right? If you don't have the basic building blocks for functioning in the body, like the minerals, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, nothing's really going to happen. And then, if you have a stressed gut, so gut dysfunction, if you have hormonal imbalances, we're going to decode that. So the idea is to first figure out what the problem is. All right. As someone who spent 20 years in corporate America as a CFO, I'm very linear. I'm like, let's figure out what the problem is first. Then we can start working on it. Because step 2, as you mentioned, is realign. So that's when we rebuild the foundations. Because there's no point trying to build the top of a tower if you don't have a strong foundation, right? So the foundations, I say, are really 80% of the work. If you have the foundation strong, you have a lot of good going for you because then you can build upon that. So the foundations are things like, again, the minerals, getting adequate sleep, high quality sleep, which is a challenge for many women in midlife, balancing your blood sugar, which blood sugar is the source of inflammation, right, in our bodies. So making sure our blood sugar is stable, doing some basic movement, and then working on the things that we found when we decoded, right? So is it that you have liver congestion? Do you have hormonal imbalances? Does your gut need support? Do we have nervous system issues that we need to look at? And then once we have decoded and realigned, then we can reclaim. So we step back into our energy, we get that focus, that confidence back, and we do it without restriction or burnout, because that is exactly what we're trying to avoid, right? And the idea really is that when you support your body instead of fighting it, it will respond. You just have to know what you're looking at to get the right supports. You need the blueprint for your body.
It's such a compassionate approach, especially when we help women to understand. You refer to it as nervous system regulation, but help them to understand that they can find safety within. And for many women, unfortunately, that needs to be reestablished. But once it is, you can really dive into the repair over restriction. Haven't you found that so many women are in that restrictive head because they're using tools that they think are making them safe? Those rules started as a solution, not necessarily the problem.
Oh, absolutely. Most of the women who come to me are under eating. So they're undernourishing their body. They don't have enough of the right minerals. So they don't have basically the building blocks, the nutrients that their body needs to even consider doing repair. I can't just jump into asking, let's just do a bunch of gut work on your body. The body's going to be like, I do not have the bandwidth for this. There's definitely that layer of support that needs to happen first.
Because you're talking about foundation. So even if they are potentially eating the healthiest diet on earth, if they're not absorbing because of what needs to be regulated, it's really a moot point.
Exactly. That is exactly it.
So your framework is just so different from the way many women are taught to relate to their bodies. And I thank you for that.
Well, it's my pleasure. I enjoy helping women get to this point because, as you say, we have not been taught this. As a matter of fact, we have been taught things that are detrimental to our health, and using those old, I'll call them tools for lack of a better word, using those old tools that are not really helpful to address the challenge of midlife, which is a different challenge than we've faced with before. I had a coach once, a business coach, who went to Cordon Bleu to learn how to cook as a chef. And she was like, you need the right tool. You're not going to use a blender when you need a mixer kind of thing. You have to have the right tool for the job. So knowing the code for your body so you can apply the correct tool is really what the book is all about.
Absolutely. Another way of putting that is you don't go to the hardware store for orange juice.
Yes, thank you, Mindy. That's perfect.
So Claudine, if we're getting practical and we're looking at like the client comes to you, the woman, and she's so tired and she wants to get out of this place of fatigue and this place of overwhelm, where do you begin? What are the first steps you take with somebody like that?
Well, probably like you in your practice, I have an intake form, right? So I am prioritizing all the things because I can't throw everything at somebody at once. Now, in the book, I give a lot of tools so that someone, if they wanted to, they could do this on their own. But essentially, I go through the list of, what's the most high priority thing? Is it your nervous system? Is it your blood sugar? Is it gut dysfunction? Is it liver? Like, where are we? And then we start with baby steps. So for some women, it's basic. You need to drink some water during the day. Do me a favor, let's drink some water because your body isn't transporting anything without the major mode of transportation. So it could be something like that. I usually give them 3 things to start with. Is it drinking water? Is it eating enough protein? Is it eating first thing in the morning? A lot of women are fasting. And so getting them to eat or even be hungry first thing in the morning is something that we tend to spend time on because a lot of women have conditioned their bodies not even to want to eat anything, or their liver is so backed up that they don't have any kind of appetite. So it could be water. It could be getting their protein, their food in. It could be sleep. If somebody isn't sleeping well, then that can impact a lot of their systems. That is a stressor on the body in and of itself. So we work on sleep hygiene. We work on what could be impacting the sleep. I mean, really, the big picture, what I'm doing is I am lowering inflammation in the body so that the body can do its job. Because inflammation is like a big fire, and we are just trying to put out the fire. We're trying to lower the flames, lower the heat, so that the body can get back to doing what it wants to do. And little by little, we are just taking away the things that are adding fuel to the fire.
Brilliant. I say that often too. I say the same thing. We're just lowering inflammation. Everyone's approach to lowering inflammation is a little bit different, but if we don't lower that inflammation, we can't move forward.
Right, because the body is responding to a 4-alarm fire. It's not going to be helping you sleep. It's like, how are we supposed to sleep when there's a 4-alarm fire going on?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I always say, as you do, that healing doesn't start with overhauling your life. My mantra is all about transformation being less about what we do to change and more about what we let go of in an effort to become the change. And that's how we start the reclamation process.
I love that. What can you let go of? Absolutely. And for some women, that's putting up boundaries because there'll be people who are demanding more things of them than they can give. But yeah, you don't need to do all the things. You can delegate that. You're not the only one in the house who knows how to do the dishes, girl.
Exactly. And, and it's also that inherent belief system that so many women are presenting with, right? They forgot about the woman that they were before the world told them who they needed to be.
I love that. Yeah, reclaim your identity. Who are you really?
Your self-worth, find that inner wisdom that can speak louder than the inner critic.
That is a great way of putting it.
Ladies, I have to pause and say how lucky I am to be sitting here with both of you. Claudine, your book, Your Midlife Body Code, it's really a roadmap for the body, right? And it helps us decode the physical symptoms that so many of us are really silently carrying. And Mindy, your book, Midlife Metamorphosis, is like a lighthouse for women who are navigating emotional healing with food. And it's so heart forward. And I'm 51 years old, and sitting here and having this conversation with both of you about midlife is such a gift to me. And I know it's a gift to all of our listeners too. And it's really special to have both of these perspectives in one place. The physical perspective of decoding your body and the emotional perspective of your relationship with your body and with your food. And I'm so grateful that we're here today. So thank you, ladies.
Oh, thank you, Allie.
Gosh, what an honor.
I'm thrilled to be having this conversation with you. I really am.
It's really is a rich conversation. And Claudine, I want people to know where to find your book. Where would they find you first? And then where would they find your book?
Well, if you go to yourmidlifebodycode.com, you'll learn more about me. There are lots of links for where you can get the book because it's on Amazon, it's on bookshop.org, it's Barnes & Noble, but all those links are at yourmidlifebodycode.com. So you can even get it direct from the publisher if that's your jam. So check it out at yourmidlifebodycode.com.
That is fantastic because I read your book. It really walks you through exactly how to process your midlife body code. So that's really a nice gift to give to all of us in midlife. So thank you.
My pleasure. I couldn't not write it, wasn't the thing. I just had to write it.
And I love that you bring home the message about midlife not being a decline, but a reclaiming.
Absolutely. It's the start of a new era, right? Maybe our best era.
Oh, I can attest to that.
Amen.
I look up to you so much, Mindy. So you have gracefully gone through midlife so well.
And I'm one of those women that is way beyond midlife, actually. So now I talk about speaking to women in midlife and beyond. And I can tell you that it's a very freeing place to be. You don't get here easily, and you have plenty of bumps and bruises along the way. But the gift is learning how to heal. And the gift is learning how to navigate the potholes and to sometimes create a new foundation.
That's beautiful.
So, Claudine, I have to thank you again for showing us that healing doesn't mean fixing. It means remembering who we are underneath the stress, the hustle, and sometimes the shame.
Well, you're welcome. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you were here. And thank you for being here with us today. And to our listeners, if this episode stirred something in you, we hope you will give yourself permission to pause, to ask your body, what does it need? Choose a little bit of a reset, choose some nourishment, choose yourself. Because here at SoulShift, we really believe small shifts, especially the ones rooted in self-trust, are what truly transforms our lives. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to subscribe, share with someone you love, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for sharing the sacred time today.
We hope something in this conversation touched your heart
and offered nourishment for your soul's journey.
Remember, transformation is most effortless when it happens one tender shift at a time.
Until next week, we invite you to carry one insight from today into your life.
Not as a task.
Think of it as a superpower to yourself.
If something resonated, we'd love to hear from you. If you're joining us on YouTube, feel free to leave us a comment below.
Your words ripple outward, offering connection and comfort to others walking this path beside you.
If SoulShift feels like home, please subscribe and consider leaving us a review.
Your support will help us reach more hearts that need to hear they're not alone.
We're holding you in love, so know you're not alone. Your journey matters.
May your heart be filled.
And may your path be filled with grace.